Okay, dear all, hello everyone. Today we have such an agenda for discussion. We are going to talk with our young researchers from our laboratory who took part in a competition with quite significant results, I would say. And they are going to tell us what they worked on, how they approached the solution of those tasks that were presented. And probably some of you who would like also somehow to team up with our young researchers, with students of our master program. Maybe you could also discuss collaboratively somehow this approach, where to participate, maybe how to announce new events, and how to maybe solve all collaboratively those tasks. Here we have 3 of our presenters today who took part in this quite an interesting event, and I think you may share right now your screen, and you may also step up, so I give you the floor for the presentation, and we are here all ears to listen to you. So please, dear colleagues, you are welcome.
Can you see the demonstration?
Yes, Egor, so it works fine. Yes, so you're welcome, please.
Okay, thank you. We took part in a hackathon, which was organized by the Moscow State Universities and some companies who are working in Russia. And the task which we have solved, it is the analysis of data on user device movements within the city. The city was Tula. It is the city in Russia, and we analyzed Wi-Fi data logs, which the company gave us for analyzing. The data was 15 gigabytes. It was very big. It was really big data, and we have some difficulties with it. But I think Vasilisa will say about it more for you. I will talk about the main idea and the place we had in final. We took 6th place, and I think it is a very good result because we competed with professional teams from other big companies in Russia. For example, the 5th place took team from the Beeline company. It was a team of professional analytics, and they had big experience in such hackathons, and the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd place took commons, which had big experience in Olympiad programming and programming background. So the main task for us was to analyze how people move in Tula city according to the Wi-Fi logs that we have from organizers. And such data we have from devices of people which connect with Wi-Fi points, and these Wi-Fi points, you can see it, all these Wi-Fi points. These Wi-Fi points are placed in main streets in Tula, and people move from other sides of the city and connect with these Wi-Fi points, and we have data. It's our Wi-Fi box, and the task was to make a map of this movement help company to analyze how people movements changed during the time. We had data 1 year, and I may be mistake, but yes, it was 1 year. 1 year data, time lapse for 1 year. And what we did, we started to analyze the signal according to weeks, and you can see the graphic, the graph of this data and these signals. But moreover, we had the graph of Wi-Fi points, which was built in Python using volume library. And we had main activity according to Wi-Fi points. It is the main results which we had. But moreover, we had network. It is a user activity graph. And I think that Vasilisa can tell you about how we analyze the signal. And Artem will say about how we analyze the graph activity. Vasilisa, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. I think I'll be actually pretty concise about the actual analysis part. I would be more glad to talk about the issues that we faced originally with the data, and I would also probably want to highlight a little bit about what we did not do in this competition, but something that would probably be really fun to work with. The original task for the hackathon included the analysis of the way people moved through the city. However, the issue with the data was that it was pretty noisy, and also we did not have the guarantee of unique IDs for individual users, for individual devices that connected to the routers. So we only had individual IDs for the routers, but we could not properly distinguish between the users, and it kind of created a struggle for assessment of the actual routes of users through the city. So we had to work with workaround routes for analysis of this part of the data. So we relied on the signal of connection between the user device and the router in order to assess how close the user is to that router. So this is precisely the reason why the majority of our graphs have to do with the quality of the signal, and also the analysis of how many connections are in place for each individual router, depending on the time of the day and the time of the month. In the perspective of a year, allows us to see generally how high the load is for each individual router. And we believe that it was probably the most critical part of assessing how effective the current router network basically is, because as you could see on the first graph that we showed with the quality of signal by month, the majority of the routers that were introduced in this data set weren't actually active the majority of the time. I think it's on slide 2. Like around half the routers that are in this data set had no connections whatsoever, while there were just a few of them, of those that actually had a lot of connections. But we managed to also find some seasonal peaks and general patterns of activity depending on the router and depending on the month and location. Now, again, moving away from the actual signals, I wanted to talk a little bit about the part that Egor mentioned in the introduction, that there was a lot of data, and we had to create workarounds for the way we downloaded it, because it took a lot of time as it was uploaded in a pretty suboptimal format. And we had to somehow work with it all together so that we can do pretty much any aggregate analysis. And I will probably provide just one explanation to how we did it. It was paid Google Colab that allowed us to work with larger amounts of larger size of memory, which was sufficient for the majority of our analytic wishes, but it was also insufficient, for example, for our attempts at clustering the data, or pretty much anything that would issue some more complexity on the entire data set. So I think we did to reduce the size of the data set and the memory that was needed to work with it, is that we actually analyzed the sample. So we created a representative sample of the data set, and the majority of the analysis that you can see on the slides below is created with that sample instead of the entire data set. And although that might be a little suboptimal, that was probably the only way we could actually analyze any patterns in the data. Otherwise, the data set was too big to do pretty much anything. And generally speaking of the signals here, I don't think that it is something particularly noteworthy in terms of analysis, because the majority of what we did was, again, grouping by month and detecting how many unique users we have, even though there is, again, no guarantee that an ID corresponds to each particular individual user, how many times they occur, like several times in the data set, and again, how high quality a signal is, so how close to a router the majority of connecting users are, et cetera, et cetera. So analytically speaking, the steps that we took were pretty simple and non-complicated, but the greatest obstacle that we faced actually had to do with the size of the data. And I think that's pretty much it for what I wanted to say. So I will probably pass the microphone to Artem.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Nice to have everyone here. Thanks Egor and Vasilisa for your parts and for your work during the hackathon as well. I know that you put a lot of effort into making all this possible, staying up late during the finals, staying up late till like 5 a.m. So I think you did a great job, and I also contributed some part to it. I used the data provided by Vasilisa, the sample data of users in order to investigate how the network activity, so to say, user network activity is distributed around the Wi-Fi routers. So it was done pretty simply to us in R using network analysis. Some simple descriptive measures such as betweenness centrality. This measure is used to tell which nodes in the network serve as bridges of connections between other nodes, and if the node has a high betweenness centrality score, this means that this node is a hub of connection, and eliminating it from the network will result in disruption of a significant portion of connections. So as you can see, this network graph presented in this slide is an actual spatial, so to say, representation of all routers how they are located in Tula city. So this was done primarily for visual purposes, so to say, in order to easily distinguish which routers are where, so to say. And we can see that the majority of the routers have very low, the size of the nodes reflects their between the centrality score. And we can see that the majority of the routers have a very little between centrality score, except for so to say three or four routers that are located mainly in the city center, which is colored in yellow, located in one of the outskirts in the southmost outskirt of the Tula city, and at the eastern outskirt of the city. This may present some challenges to the company operating these routers due to the fact that the load on every router is not distributed equally, so there may be potential problems with connections to routers in high demand. So this particular representation of the graph is not spatially accurate, but it reflects connectedness of the routers, and we can say via this picture that the main routes or user routes are within the boundaries of the city center and on the borders of the city, so to say, on the borders of the city center. And other routers are very very distant from each other. And this particular picture reinforces one of the conclusions from our analysis, that the distribution of routers may be adjusted, so to say, to be more evenly organized. But again, this is the limitation of our analysis, because we were provided only with these routers, and I suppose the company has a lot more of them, but we wouldn't be able to analyze the data from more routers because of time constraints. So yeah, this is for the network part, so to say. And moreover, I have to add that we've done this network optimization, so to say, task quite more efficiently than some of the other contestants who did not use network analysis, and they relied on much more data and analytical tools in order to differentiate between high demand nodes and low demand nodes. Yeah, so that's all for my part.
I can add that at first we made the map of the Wi-Fi points. Then we analyzed the signals, and you can see it is the signal for one point, Wi-Fi point, or Wi-Fi router. We made such graphs, and in the end we had user activity graph. The whole competition was 3 days, and we had 2 checkpoints. The first checkpoint was after 24 hours the competition started, and the second checkpoint was after 6 hours when the first checkpoint ended. And we can enter the final. And if it is not a mistake, when the competition began, we had 30 teams, and in the end we had only 10 teams, and one of them was our team. I think it is a great result for us, but we have some difficulties. Some of them was that we have really big data, and Vasilisa talked about it. And I think in future, when we or some others who will take part in such competitions, you should use more advanced instruments for analysis. We used Google Colab and Jupyter Notebook, and I think to make great results, we should use SQL and ClickHouse. And those teams who used these instruments had better results, and they work faster. I think it is very important to say, because those who will listen it should understand that the competitions, hackathons are very different. You can take part in competitions with different data, and we take part in competition with really big data, and be honestly, we didn't ready for 15 gigabytes of data. But all in all, we took 6th place. It is a good result, and thank you for your attention. We'll be happy to answer your questions about our experience. Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much. So I think I will be the first one with the question. Could you please go back to your slide? I think it was slide 2, the second one. Yes, here, the second. Yes, well, my question is, so the company, this was the company who contributed the data for this contest, right? So this company, what sort of business problem did this company want to solve? So they contributed data. So what did they want? What sort of solution? I cannot say they expected, but what did they aim for? So what they wanted from this hackathon? Yes.
This company is using this data to make apps in your phones or notebooks or pads. When you move near the Wi-Fi point, this company sends you ads of those company which is nearby. For example, we have magazine. We have, for example, we have shop or cafe or restaurant, and they want that people in tour will see their ad on their phones. If I narrative advertisement, I think it's called narrative advertisement or native advertisement. There is different names. For example, this shop wants that Tula citizens will see their ad in phones. And when this citizen moves nearby this Wi-Fi point, with the help of this company, which give us this data, they see citizens the ad of this shop in their phones. And the main task was how we can improve the map of Wi-Fi points, that more citizens have advertisements on their phones or other gadgets. For example, we have this map of Wi-Fi points, and in the end of the competition, teams and commons who had good results said to organizers that it will be better if some Wi-Fi points will there, because there are a lot of people who move in this area, but there is no Wi-Fi points. And if you want to, if you want more people have advertisement in their gadgets, it will be good if some Wi-Fi points will in this area.
So this is some sort of so this is traffic optimization.
Yes, yes.
Case.
Traffic optimization. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So maybe since you mentioned that by the final there were like 10 teams left, yes, my question is, I think that you shared some time before, after the competition, you shared with us the video of the presentations of the finalists, right? So those who were runners-up, so there was a video with the presentations recorded, so it is possible actually to watch and check what other solutions were offered. But maybe, yes, maybe you could share your own impressions of the quality of those solutions offered, maybe something that you decided that was quite interesting provided by other teams in the competition. Maybe some novelty in those solutions, some maybe kind of unexpected way how teams approached the solution, maybe something interesting.
Those teams who had first, second, and third places, they were trying to analyze the movement path of Tula citizens and the speed of this movement. Be honestly, it was one of the parts of the task to analyze the speed of movement. We didn't do it, but only a few teams had the metrics of correspondency or user activity graph. If I write, only 3 teams had this network graph, and one of those teams was our team. And I think it is good because, yes, we didn't do the analysis of speed movement, but we had this graph. And some teams who had people who know how to build using JavaScript visualization, they made the whole app with this data, and in real time we could see how the data changed in time lapse. Be honestly, we didn't have in our team guy who know JavaScript and who can do such app. It will be great, but I think if we had such guys, all in all, we didn't have enough time. 3 days, it was we don't have a lot of time. 3 days, too very few, and we tried to make what we can in Jupyter Notebook and Google Colab.
Yes, thank you, Egor. Well, Artem wants to add something, right?
Yeah, I wanted to add briefly to what Egor said about our competitive advantages, so to say, that although Egor said that there was another team who had a network graph, it was not particularly a network graph, it was a graph, but they did not use network analysis whatsoever, so we were the single team who used network analysis methods to analyze traffic between the routers.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And maybe you could also comment a little bit. There is a question in the chat about data, since we are going to have the recording without chat whatsoever. So the question
Yeah,
is,
so I have already started to answer. I will then just continue to answer the question by Ilya, who asked about how the data looked like. So there were separate folders, 12 or 14. Egor, do you remember 12 or 14 months?
12.
Yeah, so 12 folders with 30 to 31 separate files. Each of them looked like it had date column, so the date of connection, users MAC address. So this is the user ID which guys talked about, but the main challenge with this user ID or user MAC address was that some mobile phones, each device has its own unique MAC address, which is constant. However, this was the case with older devices. Nowadays, devices can have dynamic MAC address, so the identification of users becomes it becomes troublesome, as Vasilisa talked about, because we can't fully rely on users' MAC addresses to differentiate unique users. But I have to add that the team from Beeline, which took the place above us, which took the 5th place, they knew how to disintegrate MAC address in order to find out whether this device was a router itself, a computer, a printer, a mobile phone, etc. So if we'd known how to differentiate between types of devices by their MAC address, we would have done a better job distinguishing unique users, but the approach with sample worked just as fine. So continuing with how the data looked like, we had the date of connection, so it's the full day, month, year, and the time. Next, who connected, so user MAC address, where did the connection go to, so the router MAC address, and the signal of this connection measured in decibels. So the lower the decibel rate, the lower the decibel score, the stronger the signal was. And in our first visualization in this presentation, you could see that lower, well, greater, in fact, because these are negative values, greater values indicated greater strength of connection, and most of the routers had very, on average, had very weak connections, satisfactory in formal terms with the devices. And in each, so we had data for each month and for each day. And for each day, there were around 500,000 or 700,000 rows. So that number of connections on each single day. And imagine that we had around 365 files like that. So imagine how many rows we had to analyze and to compress. And Vasilisa did a great job in reducing the noise, because this amount of rows is in fact, much of it is noise. Yeah. So this is how the data look like.
I can add that there is no baseline for baseline, or I mean the base solution to this task, because the company with data which gave us this challenge, they had only data. Moreover, we worked with this data to make it more usable for analysis, because we have some problems, and the people from this company, they honestly said that we don't have solution. That's why we go to you, to members of this hackathon, and we are waiting for your solution. And
it's like, yes, crowdsourcing for ideas. So basically what they did.
It was another question.
So maybe
about,
if you can continue about data.
Came from Beeline.
So Egor, if you continue talking about the data, there is a question and some additional question from Violetta about noise or errors. So you mentioned the data set. However, I would also like to hear about noise or errors from not clear signals, like competing with other operators or with potential of two SIM cards. In general, was it important for your task, which is connected with topographical aspects? So yes.
Artem talk about it, and there is a big problem. This company which gave us this data, they used two types of Wi-Fi routers. The first type was with fixed MAC address, and due to this fact they used fixed MAC address, we can easily analyze data from these routers. But in this data, there are a lot of there were a lot of routers which dynamic MAC address. Dynamic MAC address means that each new connection have a MAC address. That's why we have so big dataset, because in this dataset most of data is made by these dynamic routers. In each moment of time, they used a new MAC address. That's why we have so big dataset. How we solved this problem? It's a very interesting solution, I think, because to solve this problem, we started to take only those the people from the dataset who had connection with Wi-Fi routers when the day starts and when the day ends. And according to this solution, we could build this network graph. By this solution, we reduced dataset and don't how is it? We reduced dataset and didn't Artem, I need help. Не потеряли в качестве данных.
Did not lose much of the data?
Yes, okay.
I think, Egor, sorry, maybe Vasilisa, if she's here, can add more to how we did data preprocessing and data management.
Yeah, sure, I can. It's just that I turned off my camera because I was having connection issues. So in case any of you start hearing me badly, please let me know. I will try to maybe choose another Wi-Fi network to connect to. But actually, I would say that there were like two key steps that we took in preprocessing the data. And the first was necessary for some of the graphs that we created here. In particular, the signal graphs were comparatively simple, so we used all our data to create them. It's just that I assigned like manually the type of each column in the data set to reduce the amount of memory required to store it. And that was what allowed me to plot the graphs with the entire data set. But for more complex graphs and for the networks, for the maps, we needed to reduce it. And we first made the reduction by only like subtracting from the data set the people that only appear there once, because again, we were interested in finding out how people move and what are their most common routes from one point to another, from one router to another one. So we only had people who were present in our data set several times. And that already reduced the number of instances we had in our data by a substantial amount, although it was still a multi-million row data set. And as far as I remember, that was what we used for the user activity graph. And also for the mapping, for the heat maps, we used just a representative sample of our data set, which was essentially 10% unique users. that were randomly sampled from the data. I believe that is all. There was no more particular preprocessing done.
Yes.
Yes, so basically because we did not use did not use specific database software and SQL, as Egor said, we had to most of the time we had to wait for our queries to data to gather aggregate data for specific steps of the analysis. We just had to wait for them to run, because you can imagine that having like aggregating data from this amount of tables is like it's very challenging for Python especially, and not SQL or ClickHouse, which works much faster with large amounts of data.
The whole dataset, 15 gigabytes, had 250 million rows, and there is no Jupyter notebook who can challenge this dataset. Yes, that's why for those data you should or even must use more advanced instruments such as ClickHouse and SQL.
I will just probably swiftly highlight that you can read such data sets and you can even do something with it, but especially if you're using pandas, it's going to be very time costly. So it's better to use something else, even inside Python. So for example, we use Polars, and that already reduced the amount of time necessary for the processing significantly. And the other thing here is that if you have any constraints on the amount of memory that you have, on the amount of RAM, you probably again should reduce the data set somehow or opt for database management resources, because otherwise, even though you will be able to read the data set, you won't be able to do any analysis on it. You won't be able to cluster the data, you won't be able to properly visualize it. So if you want to use the data for modeling, then again, it's best to reduce the amount of memory that it's taken up, because once you begin the analysis, it will grow exponentially.
Well, yes, guys, thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe we have some other questions from our participants of this session. Yes, Maria, so you're welcome with your question.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation and for sharing this experience with us. I just wanted to ask a question not directly connected to the project, but connected to such an experience. So I'm the one who is planning to take part in such competitions, but my question is, have you took part in any other competitions, and do you have any experience of data science and programming besides MASNA? So is the experience of data analytics skills which we get during MASNA enough or not? So what do you think? Maybe.
Yes, guys.
Well, I don't.
Yes, this is Maria. So the question about background of the participants, right? So where
Yes.
on the scales, they are not our students, MASNA students, they are researchers from the lab, and also they're students of different other programs, PhD studies, and also they are our assistants in teaching the courses. But I would say that learning about the experience, where they get this experience, and probably which courses might be the most important, probably, right?
Yes, yes. So if I am a student and if I am encouraged to take part in such competitions, so what skills do I need, and
What should
like,
you learn, right? Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes, so guys, maybe you could tell a little bit about your data analytics, data science, past trajectory. So what you believe, maybe what courses, skills are the most important for such events?
There are a lot of different hackathons, and before this hackathon, I took part in another hackathon from Moscow State University, and there was a second place, and those hackathon was about analysis of households price. It was a data set from Sberbank, and I want to say that it was hackathons when you without team, you can take part as one person, and there are hackathons when you take part with team. Of course, those hackathons when you challenge with team tasks and solutions more complex in those hackathons, and there are some days to solve the exercise or to solve the task. In hackathons, when you are alone, in most cases you have some hours. For example, in hackathon from MSU, when I was it was only 6 hours to solve the problem, and I think it is good training, and it's a good opportunity for people who only start take part in those competitions. What about instruments, and what about sources for self-education? I think you should know well Python, and there are a lot of sources to teach it, to study it. For example, Static. There are a lot of courses on Static, which are absolutely free. There is no money to pay for those courses. For example, Generation Python. It is a good course for you. I think if you don't have enough experience in Python, it will be a great course for those who want to start work with Python. Then it is work with Python libraries, especially Matplotlib and Seaborn, because in most hackathons you need to visualize your results, and it is one of the main idea of most hackathons and the analytics. It is good visualization. And the last, it is you should know methods. For example, you should know how to work with quartiles. You should know how to work with regression in Python. there are a lot of methods. Random forest, basic methods in machine learning. What about instruments? I mentioned that should know basics of SQL and basics of ClickHouse. I think if you will know these instruments and if you will take part in competitions for one person, it will be a great start for you. You can use such sites like Kaggle. On those sites, there are a lot of hackathons which you can take part in any time. For example, there are a lot of competitions on Kaggle, which I think there are a lot of competitions 10 years on Kaggle. 10 years on Kaggle, for example, competition about analyzing the cost of households. There are a lot of data from sites like Avito, Пятерочка, Magnet, and others big companies. They send their datasets on Kaggle, and the competitions based on these datasets is open, and you can in any time take part in these competitions. They will never end, and the list is always open. You once a week this leaderboard is refreshing, and if you want to take part, you can always do it on Kaggle, for example. What about competitions with team? Firstly, you need to find this team. Sometimes it is very hard to do, but you can find good competitions and find a team in Discord, in university. For example, in our lab, if you have such if you have several good examples of competitions, I think there are a lot of people who want to take part with you in these competitions. That's all. I think yes, Vasilisa read several resources for studying.
Yeah, I would also like to add that I understand.
Artem, I'm sorry to interrupt. May we put Vasilisa forward right now because she will disconnect in several minutes. So she
I thought she has already disconnected. Yeah.
Vasilisa, if you could say a couple of words.
Yeah, I will be just very swift. I just want to say that I completely agree with everything that Egor said. And I just also want to emphasize that if you want to try out participating in any competition, the first thing you actually have to do is just sign up for it and try it out. Because before you begin, you will probably not create a proper understanding of the way it works. And it's more efficient and more impactful for you to just try it out and maybe receive the worst result ever, but at least see the way the data is structured, the way the tasks are formulated, and what actually people do. And another recommendation I probably have is to look into the good solutions, like top solutions in real hackathons, because the majority of time they are actually published. And especially on Kaggle, you can actually scroll through the notebooks of other people that have good results in the competitions that you're interested in, because you can, if you're just beginning your journey of participation in such events, you can source a lot of great ideas from other people's solutions and try to integrate them into your own solutions, even in different competitions. But generally, yes, I think that's the best training, best studies practice. And that's it for now. Thank you all for your attention. I will now disconnect.
Thank you, Vasilisa. Thank you very much. So, Artem, yes, the floor
Yeah,
is right
yeah,
now.
I wanted to add a brief comment. I can relate with you who asked this question, because this was also the first hackathon for me, and I did not have any experience in, so to say, competitive programming and competitive data analysis. I have to say that the experience has been very rich for me, and I think very useful, because I had been motivated enough to study Python, like not to study, but to sharpen my Python skills, and also to learn SQL. And I think that the most important thing in these kinds of competitions is not about your hard skills, not so much about your hard skills. In other words, what you have learned at your educational program, no matter it may be MASNA or any other program. MASNA, by the way, teaches most of what you would need in these competitions, but these competitions are they require you to have some something more than is taught in university or in any other course. So you have to be more than average, as we say in our lab. You have to be more than average by definition in order to participate. And this more than average means that mostly that you have enough willpower, so to say, and you have the passion to make something or anything with what you have and what you know, and what you have is Google, and everything is open to you. So the most important part is your passion and your dedication to get the result, and these are the soft skills, so to say, your internal motivation. But hard skills, which we teach at MASNA, they will also be useful, and yeah, most importantly, you have to have a willpower and motivation, and everything after that, it's not really that fundamental. Yeah.
Yes, Artem, thank you very much. So maybe some other questions? Yes, guys, I see the links to the courses. Yes, I think maybe we could make a list of these recommended courses after this event, and probably share with, I don't know, maybe with MASNA students, and also when we will publish the recording of this session. So maybe right below the video, we could share this recommended list of sources.
Yes, I think it is a great idea.
Thank you. Any other question to presenters? Okay, if not, I think we covered all the questions that we had in the chat. Yes.
Education background.
Yeah, education. Yes, very briefly, maybe. Yes.
I have a bachelor in sociology in High School of Economics. Then I studied in Moscow State University program of mathematics and sociology. It is a cooperative program in Moscow State University, mainly experimental program, and I was in first one of those students who was firstly who ended this program. And in Moscow State University, I studied Python. I had great free courses in Python during my master program. And then I went in the High School of Economics, enrolled a PhD program, and now I'm here.
Yes, Yegor, thank
Artem?
you. Thank you. Yes, Artem.
Yes, yes. So my educational background is the same. I am Bachelor of Sociology from HSC. Now I am at my second year of master's studies, also at HSC, also at sociological program, and I have no additional mathematical background apart from specialization in methods of data collection and analysis during my bachelor studies here at HSC. So yeah, it's definitely possible with the knowledge provided at sociological programs to to take part in hackathons. Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Vasilisa also, she has background of High School of Economics bachelor studies, and right now she is in, yes, in an international master program, and her bachelor is, well, definitely not in computer sciences, but she has been a member of the lab for quite some time, and she was working in this direction for quite some time. But right now she's a master student in international university. Well, yes, maybe this is also about self-education and additional work and taking different specializations and minors and working in the lab on different projects as well. So I would say this is quite a lot of personal motivation behind that. But I think this is quite a nice example to show that, yes, everything is possible. At least as Vasilisa said, first, you need to get up and register for a contest and try it out. At least you need to start to get on this road and try to work to walk this road. Yes. Well, I think we are already here to finish, to wrap up. I do not remember specifically the name of the university. Vasilisa, she is in Austria right now. So it is a university in Austria.
Said that it is Oxford.
Well, she has been in Austria. So, well, anyway, it is possible to contact her, and she will be here with us maybe next time. So it will be possible to ask her personally. Well, if we don't have any additional question to the presenters, I think we can wrap it up. So we did quite a great job today for slightly over an hour of discussion and presentation. We will share the recording of the session, the list of maybe additional resources recommended by the presenters, and maybe Artem, if you could refresh the link, if it is still working, the presentation itself during the final, when you're presenting your work along with other teams. So it would be really nice probably to supplement the material after the session when we will be sharing this information. Well,
okay.
yes. Thank you very much, everyone. We may stop here, and please be welcome to join us next session of the lab. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank everyone.